Hey guys, so today I'm gonna do something a little bit different. I usually do all these, different gaming videos, take huge breaks, and then after 3 months, I do another chunk of videos, and then I take another break, right? This is something I want to do mainly because I feel like a lot of the videos that you see on the internet, when it's about audio editing and how to modify your audio so that it sounds better, all that stuff. They talk about all this very difficult terminology, which I don't understand that much because I'm not that great with audio. I mean, I've worked with a pretty complicated soundboard for musicals that I've been in. When I was like sound manager and stuff like that. So I've worked with audio before, but a lot of the stuff that I do, I kind of just like um wing it. I don't know. That's like that sounds so bad if you ever tell that to anyone. If you're looking at a job in theater and say, I just wing audio. But it's like a lot about like feeling it, like feeling what sounds right. And I don't want to be too vague though. I don't want to be too vague because that's very often what happens. Like people say, "Oh, I can't give you my settings because every person's voice is different, and if I give you my settings, you're most likely it's not gonna work for you." So that's not what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna explain to you. This is a program that I just got. I got this yesterday. How did I find out about it? I looked up some YouTube videos, and there was this guy, which probably had the most useful video out of all of them. He talked about how this program is great to actually edit your audio live, unlike Audacity. I personally, if any of you out there experts will figure out how to use Audacity and then hook it up directly through virtual line audio cable to OBS, then tell me, please, because that would be so much more comfortable. But even if that's the case, one of the things that you can't do in live audio editing, or at least I haven't figured out how to do, is noise removal. Noise removal you can do by various techniques like the ones that I'm about to show you that I'm using, but you can't really do it by scanning simultaneously the whole track of stuff in the future, stuff that you haven't even said, and making that sound also without any noise in the background. It's very difficult. It's basically like the difference between so the difference between live streaming, let me put it this way, live streaming audio and video and edited audio and video, like stuff that you see on YouTube, is like the difference between taking a photo right now on the spot of this dog walking down the street and its owner, and not even editing it, just like submitting it just like that. Not basically a raw image. Yeah, sure. You can tweak with the shutter speed, you can tweak with all these little things, the aperture, the lighting, you can also, choose how to manipulate that to make the image look better, but you really, really can't edit the little nitpicky stuff about the image. So if there's like a little blur somewhere, if there's some sort of the colors just don't look quite so well. Yeah, sure, you can use those basic things like black and white, sepia, all those default things on the camera, but you really can't go into that much depth as you would with an editor. That's what the difference is between live audio editing and live video editing and everything that's offline, everything that you're doing after you've recorded, right? Edited. So keep in mind, obviously, you're never going to get quite the same quality with live audio and video, and that's totally fine. So you go on a live stream, and you're always going to hear some sort of background noise. You're going to always hear this stuff that makes the audio just a little bit fuzzier. I mean, it can still sound really good. Some people have really good microphones. I have a fairly good microphone. I have the Blue Yeti Platinum. Sure, now there are newer ones or better ones, a lot of cool cardioids that you just have to like speak right inside of them like this. But the Blue Yeti microphone isn't the type of microphone that you actually go up to and speak. You actually put it at a good distance from you. And I'll do an actual vlog again because I haven't done a vlog in a very long time. But I'll do an actual vlog of showing you how I've set up my Yeti in terms of my face and when I play games so that it doesn't pick up too much background noise, because this is one of the big problems with this microphone. This is the perfect example of a good microphone that still picks up a lot of background noise. And most microphones are like that. No matter how many pop filters you put on it, you can put on 100 pop filters, there's still going to be background noise unless your room is completely quiet. which I doubt, because just the sound from your computer alone when you're playing games is enough, or just a little fan somewhere in the background, or a car moving outside. Like I live on a busy street. There are cars all the time moving. You know, there's people talking on the other side of my entrance. Right? There's always stuff that the microphone is going to pick up. It's impossible not to have any of that. When you do it offline, you're gonna use Audacity. Here, I even have Audacity. I have a little sample. I'm doing this for the second time I'm recording this because the first time I was just stuttering like an idiot. But this is an actual track that I did, which is normalized. And here, let me show you exactly. Let me see if I can Alt Shift. What was the command to? Yeah, I can't do it right now. Actually, maybe I can. Yeah. See, this is when it's not normalized, and should be one more. Oh crap. Redo. Okay. Redo noise removal. Redo noise removal. So you don't see much of a difference because this is still with the. I'm gonna stop the compressor and equalizer. All of a sudden, this background noise while I'm talking right now is going to disappear. I'm gonna use also Audacity to get rid of some of the background noise. But I even hit the perfect moment. There you go. So you'll see here. Yeah, anyways, that was the track that I did. But with Audacity, you can do noise removal. You take a little noise profile, and then you can do it on the whole thing. You don't even need to use all this like compressors and thresholds and equalizers and stuff like that. You don't need any of that stuff. You can just do it with a noise removal, and then you do a little bit of normalize, and you're good to go. That's it. But to get to the actual points of what I'm trying to say here, this is not a tutorial video. This is not really a tutorial video. It would have been much more closer to the point. It's more of a discussion video about how I do my stuff. So this, yeah, you know, if you first open this and you're a little confused because you're like, what does any of this stuff, you know, mean? You actually have something very similar to this when you're using soundboard. Especially when we get to this here. But here you have the attack, you have the hold, the release. I don't even know how that's pronounced. I haven't tweaked with it at all. But you have all these options that basically all that this regulates. You know, this is the threshold. All of this regulates is how much audio should actually be blocked off. So and at what volume should the audio that's being blocked off be blocked off. So here, let me show you. When I stop talking, you'll notice that all of a sudden everything becomes completely quiet, like too quiet even. See, that's basically this little line here that you see, like these bars going up and down. That's when I'm talking. It increases, right? You see how it goes up. It increases, and then once it reaches this little line, there's it just shuts off, and right, none of the audio below that gets captured. Now, the problem is, this is why it's much easier to do this type of stuff when you're using, when you're editing offline, is all of these background noises, like my mouse right now, you know, like you hear it clicking, right? You hear it clicking because there's no, like right now it's open, the mic is open, it hasn't been shut off. So all the background noises, even the ones that are really quiet and are below that level, are still gonna get picked up by the mic, right? That's just one of the things you have to deal with all the time. And if you use noise removal, most of the time, these like clicky noises, they're gonna get removed. But you can't do that really on live recording. See, notice how there's like those little jumps? That was me continuing to click even after I stopped talking, and you couldn't hear that anymore. Now, I have this other problem with my mouse that maybe it's because I've overused my left key way too much. I actually get a lot more sound from the right key. And it's supposed to be an ambidextrous mouse, so it works for left hand and right hand the same way. But I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's just so overused. Regardless, I'm going to pick up always noise, whether it's from this is my Orb Weaver gamepad, right? It's mechanical, it's a stealth edition, right? Like Razer always talks about, oh well, you know, we made the Orb Weaver and it was too loud, so we decided to make a stealth edition and a regular edition. It doesn't matter. If you're playing games, you're always this stuff is always gonna get picked up. It's mechanical. There's no way for it not to get picked up. Sorry, I'm going crazy here. But my point is, this is the only way pretty much to get rid of this type of stuff. And the only, I guess, downsides of this are, it doesn't sound quite so natural unless you really tweak with it. And I still haven't. So it doesn't sound quite all that natural because notice if I especially a little bit quieter and I start hitting that noise gate, it cuts off really quickly and sounds unnatural, bro. All right, it sounds unnatural because like when you're actually speaking in real life and you're listening a lot of the time even to really good podcasts with really good audio, you're always hearing some background noise. It's just too weird when all of a sudden the person's talking and then it cuts off and it's gone. But when you're live streaming, a lot of the time, especially for gaming, it's very different because there's going to be so much other background noise. Your computer, there's going to be, like the mouse and the keyboard. I already said this, and podcasts are generally most of the time not live. So it's you're gonna have to, I guess, sacrifice a little bit of that, at least natural feel. At least for most people, that have medium to like high low quality microphones, right? Not everyone has a studio microphone. Not even the majority of people have studio microphones. Most people just have like a microphone on their G930 headset or, on their Razer headset or whatever. But these little tabs here, I'm gonna just explain very, very shortly. Most of the time it's presets, but the attack is at what point after it reaches that noise level does the audio actually activate. And you can tell this is at milliseconds, so this is this is like a very, very short period of time. And you can tweak with this when you're on a soundboard as well. I don't know if I'm worried of it's gonna mess up my audio right now if I do anything with it. But basically, the shorter that the time is, the faster after it hits noise that is louder than the noise gate. So this here will the sound actually activate. So this is good because let's say you drop a glass, or it's a little hard to think of examples, but let's say you drop something, or there's like some sort of right noise in the background somewhere, right? Something like that. It's gonna activate a little bit faster, or I mean slower in this case, a little bit slower, so that it doesn't pick up quite as much of that noise. So it doesn't pick it up the moment it actually hits. And very often the first little millisecond of when an actual sound happens is loudest. So when you drop a glass, it's so short, but it's the moment it hits. Like after that, when it starts rolling, it's not that loud. So that's kind of the purpose of this. And for games, this is great as you can, imagine, because when you're using a mouse, it's these very short, kind of loud noises that you really don't want. And it's the same thing with mechanical keyboard. But it's really good to have that a little bit higher. Most people have it, I think it's like on 50, or some people don't like even use it. But it's very, very useful for me at least. I tweaked with it last night. I think I'm pretty happy with how it is right now. The hold is how much it should hold after after some sort of sound gets past the gate. So I'm not using it, as you can tell, but like the moment I stop talking, see how it starts dropping? The hold is gonna keep that not go below the threshold. But why would I need that? I mean, why would I could, but that means that I'm gonna pick up more background noise, and I really don't want that. I don't want to have more awkward pauses where that you don't hear me talking, you hear in the background, right? I don't want that. The release and this stuff I haven't really messed around with. I just set it at 200. This should be, I think, how long after, it's like kind of the opposite of attack. So how long after the actual sound is over should it go down, right? It's a little, I know it's a little bit too much. Like I'm still trying to get the hang of it because it's so much more different when you're looking at it when it's in a software format. When you're looking at it when you're doing, you know, when you're using a soundboard, it's so easy to just tweak with it and feel like hardware. I've always said this. Hardware is always going to feel more natural and just so much easier to use than software, because you don't have all these tabs. You don't have to move from tab to tab. You can then, when you're using a soundboard, you can tweak with these stuff all at the same time. So when an actor is talking on stage, you can really play around with his voice, and while he's talking and see like, okay, so the high, medium to high, and the low sounds. What type of voice does he have? How can I tweak around with it? With this here, it's so much harder to do. Yeah, sure, I can go into my recording devices and I can go to virtual line audio cable, right? And I can put this on listen. Right, I can put this on listen, and I can hear myself now. I can do that, but it's so much harder. So much more complicated. You hear yourself talking over yourself. It's just very uncomfortable. So that's pretty much it. And this here is the wet and the dry. I really haven't messed around with this. Pretty sure like wet and dry sounds are like stuff that's harder sounds and softer sounds. That's maybe what it means. If anyone knows, please do let me know how this actually works. High pass and low pass, I'm guessing that's for very low sounds and very high sounds, and like it should capture the area in between this, so you don't want a lot of the very low sounds or a lot of the very high sounds. That's what I'm guessing it means. That way it eliminates even more, technically, background noise. Compressor. Okay, so this basically, the most simple way to explain this is that it lowers volume down, so that when the volume is lower, you're hearing less background noise. Kind of. Unlike let me just say it this way. You can look up a bunch of tutorial videos and they can explain this so much better than I can. But when combined with this, with the actual sound and noise gate, this blocks off the audio. So it's trying to cut off and only get the nice sounds, the talking, the speech, and all that. And this is going to lower everything. It still works very similarly with attack and release, right? This stuff, attack, release, but it's it's more about let me think of a good way to put this. I'm just trying to think right now on the spot. As you can tell, a lot of this is unscripted. I don't actually have a script. I'm just talking. I guess a good way to put it is it lowers down volume with the goal of, again, mitigating all that bad sound that would go through a lot of the background sound. But it lowers the volume in general, so that's the downside. So I don't sound quite as loud right now as I would if I didn't have a compressor on, which kind of sucks. But yeah, you can still play around with this. I guess like that's the thing. Just put yourself on listen. Go to that little option down here on listen to device. Put yourself on that and just play around with this. It's very hard to explain when you're non-professional. You don't actually know what a lot of the terminology for this stuff is. This is basically, yeah, it just makes all the sound a little bit quieter, so that think of it kind of like a normalizer. That's how I see it. It's kind of like a live normalizer. So when normalizing audio means that a lot of those like high and low sounds, they get kind of a little bit squished up, so that everything again sounds a little bit more natural. It sounds a little bit more fluid. It's not so bumpy. This kind of like does that, but live, and clearly not quite as well, but still does a really good job. Just tweak with it. That's really the best way to explain this. This is the hardest one. I really straight up, I'll be honest, I took this from the tutorial that I saw, the online tutorial, and I just literally copy pasted it all over this. There was pretty much no thought process going into this. Now, looking back to it though, it does make more sense. All right, how do I begin to explain this? This is more about the actual person's voice. This has pretty much nothing to do with sound in the background. That stuff is going to get captured anyways. You don't care about that. We forget about it. This is more about tweaking with the person's voice. Or if it's a guitar, or if it's a piano, and you want to make it sound kind of like it's coming through a radio. It's kind of like you can really make some really cool effects with this, but essentially, it's every person's voice is different. Some people have very low sort of voices. They speak like Morgan Freeman. They talk very low, and like Bane, they speak like this. You can like go, or like me. I have a very high pitched voice overall for a guy. Um, it makes you sound better. Put it that way. Uh, this one I really recommend you just if you have a friend that understands anything about audio. Clearly not me. Ask him how to really work with this because the best way to really figure this out is just test over and over again how you sound for recordings. So you put this monotone recording of you saying, like reading a poem or something, and you put it over here, and you just tweak with this, tweak some more, and see how the audio changes. And at which point you sound least like you're coming out of a microphone. So my voice, it's not high pitched, but it is more high pitched for a guy, I'd say. It's kind of going towards high pitched. And I can try to manipulate my voice and speak lower. No, I mean I can play around with my voice myself, but that's my natural sound, my natural voice. So hard to use words when you don't know the terminology, but because my voice is a little bit different, it's I need to make it sound so that it's not coming through a microphone, and it's not additionally disproportioned. So every person when you hear yourself through a microphone, you sound differently, and people say, "Well, that's because when you hear yourself speaking in the real world, you're not really hearing yourself, like your voice impacting and coming back to yourself, right? Most of the time you're hearing the voice coming out of your throat and into your ears, so it's literally just a vibration. You're not actually hearing. You are. You're obviously there's noise when I'm talking against this wall right now in this computer. A lot of noise hits it and comes back to me. But I have a headset on right now, so that's even less so the case. So I'm gonna think that I have a lower voice than I actually do. My voice is higher than it sounds to me. But in reality, even in the real world, your voice still does not sound the way that it does through a microphone. So a lot of people say, yeah, that's what it sounds like when they hear a recording of you. That's kind of what you sound like in general. Those people are wrong. Those people clearly don't know how you they can't really differentiate how you sound, from a microphone and real world, right? The equalizer is basically the purpose of this is to make you sound more natural and sound more like you're not speaking through a microphone, but actually right here, up in your face, I'm talking and I sound realistic, right? Whew. You can tell this is very hard for me to explain. But this is my setup that I'm going to be using pretty much from now on. Was debating for the longest time whether I should just get a soundboard or something. Those things are way too expensive for no reason because I'm not gonna be using a soundboard the way I used to do it in theater. Because in theater, like you're working with what, like 10, 15 actors, all that have microphones, all that come out on stage. You mute one microphone, you put up another microphone, and they all have different voices, so that means you have to play around with them and make sure they sound good. They don't sound very hollow. Yeah, that's the word that I should be using, hollow. So that's what the equalizer can really help you do, so that you don't sound like you're coming from the bottom of, like you're speaking from the bottom of a corridor, right? You don't want that. So that's what you can do with an equalizer. But a lot of the time, that's what you do when you're working in theater. You're trying to make people sound a little bit better, sound a little bit more like they're actually speaking in front of you, not somewhere really far away or really, really too close. You also all those gurgly noises like the, those types of tones. They can be smoothed down so that they sound a little bit better, right? That's kind of the whole point that I was trying to make here. As you can tell, I'm currently not using Equalizer. You're just hearing me as I sound through the unnatural sound of a microphone. The sound through the unnatural sound. Um, but yeah, I am going to actually do this again, this type of tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and upload this. Probably going to get a lot of hate because people are like, oh, I came here expecting a tutorial video, and I didn't really watch the whole thing until the point where you explain it. But, I'm gonna go ahead and dislike this, because, this is not a tutorial video. It's not. I'm telling you now, it's not. This is none of what I just told you. The only purpose of this video is to show you what I'm gonna be using, and maybe help other people who are also trying to learn how to use this program and other programs like this try kind of to make a little bit more sense of this, because it's so much more different when you're working with hardware and you go to software. Like, a lot of people say software is so much easier because you can keep track of stuff really easy just on your monitor and it's one click away, but one click away is actually a lot more uncomfortable than one little twist, on a knob on a gain or something like that. It's so much more uncomfortable. And yep, that's pretty much my rant. Um, I do hope that at least to some of you guys this actually was helpful and can help you most of all decide not so much what type of microphone you're going to be buying, because pretty much every microphone above a certain level is really, really good. And you don't need anything better unless the preference of whether you prefer like a cardioid or a stereo mic, the type of microphone that's, for people that don't know what any of that means, is like the types of microphones that's basically you've seen this on television or on podcasts where it's like this little long tube and he's speaking right in front of it in this little hole, or something like the Blue Yeti where it's big and round and it's very good for stereo sounds pickup. When you're playing instruments, this is really good for that. That's really what you should be thinking about. The type of microphone that you want, that you need. Hopefully you need it more than you actually want it. Because you shouldn't be just looking at a microphone and how cool it looks, right? That's so important. Like, don't look at a microphone because, oh, this is really cool. I like the fact that it's purple or it's silver. No, you should be actually looking at what type of microphone you need. That's more important than actually how amazing the microphone is. Because, again, nowadays you can use all of this software or hardware to modify everything and make it look a lot cleaner. I mean, look at, like, people use Instagram. Instagram is this crappy way to make a photo look really cool and edit it and stuff. And then most of the time it actually does work, I have to admit, some of those pictures of cats and puppies, they look adorable. But think about that. When it comes to audio, how much you can really play around with it, even if you have a crappy microphone, even if you have a crappy room, even if you pick up a lot of, background noise, and you don't have those big, what are they called? Big, there's a word I used to know it. It's these big, soft, kind of like triangle-y things that, the point of them is for sound to hit them and absorb sound. So sound absorbers, I think that's what they're called, sound absorbers. There's these big, kind of, spiny looking pillows, kind of like pillows. They're made out of some material that looks a lot like velour or something like that. I think that's the word, right? Velour? I don't know. But it's you don't need any of that stuff. You really don't. It's the 21st century. Okay, I hope that's really it. I hope you guys liked it. Let me know if you have any questions, and hopefully I will redo something similar to this type of video once I have things a little bit more figured out, just to show you what my progress is in my setup. Yeah, ask me questions if you have any. Also, follow me on Twitter. You can really contact me really quickly through Twitter at Krion Studio. And And what else? What else? What else? Twitter. I don't really use the Facebook anymore for Krion Studio. I really don't. I find it very uncomfortable for some reason. It's a very awkward feeling when you're actually managing a page on Facebook. It's kind of useless. It doesn't have. It's very uncomfortable when you want to talk to actual other people. Twitter is probably the best. So message me on Twitter at Krion Studio, or do not send me a PM on YouTube because I will most likely not see it a month from when you send it. So rather comment on the video so that I can see it instantly. Then send me a PM, which the YouTube system for PMs has pretty much been messed up. So it's so hard to actually now see if someone sent you a personal message on the spot. You have to go and actually look into it. I know, like, oh, you're so lazy, but it is kind of uncomfortable. Like, I wouldn't be able to tell. I have to check every day to make sure that someone sent me a personal message, and most of them are spam. It's about, check out this awesome YouTube country music video. Click here now. That's most of the videos that it gets. It's all spam on YouTube. So just comment on the video or look me up on Twitter, and I will make sure I can help you guys out, figure out your own setup with Reaper. Alright, bye.